Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Local Lens, Lawrenceville Unfiltered. My name is Louie Campbell, and you are?
Dwayne Volkman.
Guys, introduce yourselves.
My name's Scott Durrant.
I'm Hannah Durrant.
All right, and you guys live in the Lincoln Heights area of Lawrenceville and experienced pretty severe sewer overflow, I understand, back in April of this year. You want to get into that, talk a little bit about that and how that happened and everything?
Yeah, so on April 5th of this year, we...
Technically last year. It's
Oh, yeah.
2025.
Last year.
2025,
Yeah.
April 5th,
Yeah.
2025. Actually, Hannah discovered about 2.5 feet of water in our basement. And everything was floating around in our basement. The whole basement was flooded.
This is a mostly finished basement.
Yeah. I was at work at the time, and she sent me a text message with a video, and so I promptly rushed home.
Mm-hmm.
Our best solution was Hannah ran to the Ace Hardware, grabbed a sump pump, and I got home, and we proceeded to pump out our basement and empty the basement of water as fast as we could.
But before that, we did call the water department. After Scott got home from work, he called the water department, which was closed on Saturday, and that redirected you to the 911
Yeah.
call center. what do they call it?
Dispatch center.
Dispatch
Yeah,
center.
okay.
Yeah.
So when you call the water department number on a weekend, it tells you to call the police department. It goes to dispatch, and I was just trying to get an answer, trying to ask them what was going wrong. Obviously, we had a humongous rainfall that day, and so obviously that was a factor. But I was trying to get answers of like what exactly was going on in our neighborhood or our area, and I was specifically had asked them if it was sewage water, because we didn't want to go down in it because it'd be bad for your
You
health.
did ask specifically if it was sewage.
Yeah.
And did they give you an immediate reply, or?
Yeah, the person on the dispatch line said she had talked to the water department guy, and had said that
She didn't
it
say a
wasn't-
name specifically, did she?
No.
But she said
not
she'd
that I
spoken
remember.
to the water department manager,
Okay.
Okay, and that's Aaron Tipsword. He's the
He is the
superintendent.
manager.
which we
yeah.
now know is Aaron Tepsworth. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and she had said that it wasn't sewage water; it was just storm water,
Okay.
just rain runoff.
Just to be clear, no one came to check it out. This was all over the phone.
Right.
They made that evaluation over the phone.
That's correct.
That's right. And she had said that he was really busy because a lot of people were calling with flooding problems.
Sure.
And I, thought, okay, that's reasonable. That's understandable. It's obvious that there'd be a lot of flooding at that time with all that rain.
There was a lot of rain.
Lots of rain. So, being told that it's probably just rainwater, just storm water. We went down into the water. Me and my father-in-law. I think some of my kids went down into the water, and so you don't. Looking back, is like, oh, that there was decisions you would have changed, but
Right.
Yeah,
in the
for
moment,
sure.
I just was panicking about our basement having 2.5 feet
You
of water.
felt like they knew
trying
what
to
they were
get it.
talking about, and so you made the decision based
Right.
on
Yeah.
that.
Had
Yeah,
you been
we
given
felt like we
accurate
had to do
information, you wouldn't have subjected yourself or your family members to all the terrible bacteria and stuff that
Yeah.
exist in sewage water, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
But like Hannah just said, they needed to do something,
Sure.
so they
Yeah.
just operated with the best information they had at the time.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
We found out later, I'm kind of fast forwarding a little bit, but we found out later that one of the potential causes for this backup was root balls in the water, in the sewer lines, and that it was indeed sewage water that was backing up into your house.
Yes.
And you had
We've
other
never had
neighbors.
flooding in our basement previous to this.
Okay.
This was the first time, but
How long have you owned the home?
having found out 5 years.
5 years. Okay. And there weren't just root ball intrusions, as I understand it, there were collapsed lines in the area as well, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And the city has since conducted repairs. They brought in an outside contractor to get rid of the root ball intrusions
Yep.
and such, and they have, from what I understand, committed to a maintenance plan. But the maintenance plan, as I saw, is they've sectioned off sections of the city, and they're going to do one section this year, one section next year. The problem with that is these roots, as I understand it, they grow pretty rapidly because it's sewage. It's a very fertile environment for these roots. These roots are seeking food for the trees, and that's rich food for the trees.
Right.
And was it 5, 6, or 7 sections of the city they sectioned off, so that it looks like every 5, 6, or 7 years they're going to get right back to your neighborhood.
Right.
Which doesn't seem like that's adequate. And I understand the cities, they're stressed for manpower and such, but
As I understand it, right after they cleared out those root balls in our neighborhood, one of the workers there commented to our neighbor and said they're going to grow back in a couple months. And I don't know if that's true or how fast they grow back, but it's going to be, less than 5 years that I would think they would start growing back and shooting. And I don't know how much it totally blocks off a sewer line, but.
And I've heard, and I don't know how true this is, I haven't verified it, but during the winter months is when those roots really dig deep for the food, because
Makes sense.
that's whenever they need the nutrients. So,
But let's go back and make clear why the city did these things. It's because someone got the EPA involved, correct?
That's right.
that's all I understand.
Yeah. There was a few other people in our neighborhood that also experienced flooding, and a couple of them had experienced flooding multiple times over
the 5-year period. Yeah.
over more than
30
5
some
years.
years.
Yeah,
A little
30 some
lower.
years.
They're a little lower area than you are. The lay of the ground, the lay of the
down the
ground is
hill.
higher. Or, excuse me, you're higher up. So in the past, when they've had flooding, that's where the pressure was being released at. But this time, it was just so much it overwhelmed their area, and it creeped up the hill to where you guys were at. But from my understanding, these other people had gone to City Hall to find out if the city could compensate them for damages to their home, because by this time everyone discovers it's sewage.
Right.
How did we discover it was sewage? What was that? How was that determined that it was actual sewage? I know some people in town had the EPA come out to their property and test and verify that it was sewage. Is that how
But
you
their
guys
neighbor he scooped up 2 of those trash totes full of paper and sewage materials.
Out of his yard.
And according
and the
to
mayor
him,
witnessed that.
yeah, well, and exactly. That's what I was going to say. And according to that neighbor, he had the mayor and another elected city official out there, and the way he tells the story, the mayor said it looked like stormwater to him. The other elected city official says, well, can't you see the paper and the other stuff that's in the yard? That's not stormwater, that's
Right.
sewer water.
By other stuff, you're talking about solid human waste.
Solid human waste and other materials, right. So it seemed like to me, according to the way this other person tells the story, that, and this story's been told at council meetings and it's not been disputed, that there was some sort of a denial, if not a cover-up, a denial of what was going on straight from the get-go. Then that person goes to the city after while their yard is being inundated with this sewage water. A few days after they get it cleaned up, they go into to City Hall to find out if there are any ways that they can get compensated for any damages to their home. From what I understand, the city had told them that it wasn't the city's fault. That person continued to push the issue because they felt like it was the city's fault. At some point, again, the way this person tells the story, Mr. Tipser tells them, actually the individual says, well, we'll just call the EPA and see what they think. And Mr. Tipser says, go ahead and call them. They're not going to do anything for you.
And that's what got the ball rolling.
That's what got the ball rolling on all of this. Then you and that neighbor talked.
Yeah.
And you had asked for someone to come and check your house out even after the flooding was over. How long did it take for a city representative to come out to address this particular issue? Not to come out and read a water meter, which they tried to say that was the visit they made to you. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so tell
So
them
when
how-
we had called initially that day of the flooding, it was a Saturday, and like we said, but I believe they had said, they will get back to you, as soon as they can. The water department will get to us, and
You gave them your name and address, right?
name and phone number. I
Name and phone
believe.
number? Okay.
And maybe address. And then
On Monday.
Hannah called on Monday, called the water department.
2 days later.
And what happened there?
And I asked for the water department manager and I guess it was a secretary lady. I'm not sure who she was, but she said, he's not available. Let me have your name, phone number, and address, and I'll have him call you back. She told me his name was Aaron Tipsard. So I said, okay. Never heard from him. I can't remember if it was a week or 2 weeks. I called again.
It was that week. There were some city workers at our meter.
working on the water meter, right?
On the-
So
And
they-
we had
they
all
were
of our stuff out from our basement that had been flooded. We had tons of damaged
in your yard.
storage
yeah,
goods.
we were
food.
trying to get everything dried out,
Yeah.
clean out our basement, so it was all over our yard, all in our garage.
And later we found out one of the city workers told us that they thought we were having a garage sale. They didn't even know that we had experienced a big flood in our basement.
Okay.
So you had talked to them when they came to our house to
Yeah.
check the water meter
Yeah.
for other reasons.
Right.
You talked to them then.
Yeah, I came out and I was like, hey, what's going on? We're trying to figure out why we got 3 feet of water in our basement. And they didn't have any answers for me.
But it was, after that, it was represented at a city council meeting by Mr. Tipsard that those were his people and that they were there to discuss the flooding of your basement with you.
Right, but
Which
they
was
didn't-
not the truth.
They didn't even know we had had a
They
flood.
weren't even aware, right?
Right.
And at that point, they said that they would talk to Aaron and he would get back
Yes.
with you.
Yes. Which did not
Which
happen.
didn't
Because that
happen.
was at the, I think, July meeting. Someone had mentioned that he had not reached out to them. And he spoke up and said, I'm going to protect my guys. My guys came there. Don't talk bad about my guys, essentially.
That might have been
It might have been June.
June or July. It was one,
Yeah,
but
it was-
again,
'cause
it was
at the July
months
meeting.
after it happened.
It was the July meeting where I believe it was your mother addressed the council
Okay.
and explained that no one from the water department or sewer department had reached out to you. It had been over 100 days and they still hadn't. And that's whenever it,
That's
right.
the timeline I was going to get
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
Was it was 100 days before a city official, Mr. Tipsard,
Yep.
actually came out and discussed the issue with you.
it had been
And
over
I-
100 days.
I had
Over-
called-
over, yeah, yeah.
I had called to try and talk with him 3 times. And then we'd also talk to the city workers a couple of times because they come out to our house every month. And I talked to him a couple of times at that point when they were checking the meter. And yeah, we never talked to Aaron Tipsard until he came to deliver a paper, I believe it was August, that said we're going to put smoke in the lines to see if we can find leaks, yada yada. He was delivering these papers to everyone in the neighborhood, so it's not like he made a special trip to
Right.
come and talk to us, but he did ring the doorbell and I came and talked to him and he was cordial, explained what was going on, said, he was sorry about what happened, but didn't really offer an apology for not talking sooner to us, or any type of solutions other than what they're doing with the smoking the lines.
And by this time, the EPA had been involved.
Correct.
And
And there'd been multiple people addressing the situation in city council meetings.
I wanted to get to that because the city council, our city is divided into 4 wards. Every ward has 2 representatives on the city council. Dwayne is on the city council in Ward 2, okay? And you guys are in Ward 1, or no, Ward 3. You're in Ward 3, you're represented by Dawn Brewer and Russell Goins on the city council. That either of the representatives that represent you on the city council reach out and proactively try to help you with your situation?
No.
Not until much later. As you said, it was brought up at a city council that no one had come to talk to us, and Aaron Tipsford had said, yes, my guys have been out there to talk, and we confirmed that was not true. Then one of our city council members did talk to us after that.
Who was that?
Don Brewer.
Don Brewer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who happens to be our neighbor.
Our neighbor.
Okay.
And she said, I'd love to have you guys come over and talk to me about what it is that you need, what happened, blah, blah, blah. But this was still like months after, and she lives right next to us, and so it made it difficult because she, it would have been nice, I guess, if she came and kind of told us our options, what, we weren't getting any help, we weren't getting any help.
Right.
And so we'd never been in this situation before. We didn't know, we haven't really dealt with the city before. We didn't really know what we should do, or even that you can file a claim, whenever it's the city's problem, different things like that. And we have 2 city council members that live, within eyesight of our home that never came to
Mr.
offer
Goins,
help.
has he ever talked to you
We've
about
never
this
heard
issue?
from Mr. Goins whatsoever.
All right.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I want to make clear, when, we're talking about these city council members. Louie and I are not here to personally attack them,
No.
which we have been personally
We have-
attacked for getting involved in
I have a
this.
cordial
And I'll talk
relationship
about
with
that
both
here
of
in a
them.
moment.
I have a cordial relationship with
Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah.
I think they're both very polite when they're dealing with me.
Yeah.
But it's fair game to talk about what I consider their unwillingness to get involved and support not just members of their ward, but members of the community as a whole. I mean, you're not my ward, and I didn't know about this issue until May or June, and one of your neighbors was talking. It might have been one of your parents. I don't recall. But I'm sitting there at one of these meetings, and I'm listening to all this, and I'm listening to the issues that you guys had had. It might have been both your neighbor and your parents talking, and I'm thinking, this sounds pretty major. No one has talked to these people. So I approached either the other person or you all after the meeting, and that's how I got involved. This isn't to toot my own horn. This is to say that we have community members here that not just these 2 individuals here, but others. There was another issue in July, a similar issue with the flooding, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But it just doesn't seem like anyone is reaching out to help people.
Yeah.
And that's what we're elected to do. We're no better than any of the people we represent. And I would, if I weren't on the council, I would want, a council member to come and talk me through what my options are. And if there's nothing the city can do, at least sit down and talk to you and tell you why there's nothing the city can do. To my knowledge, I don't believe in any of the council meetings, either of those, actually no city council member has said much of any substance regarding this flooding issue. Can you recall?
No, as a matter of fact, what I've seen reminds me, and I can't remember the movie, but it was a legal drama where an insurance company, it was Rainmaker, great movie, where the insurance company had a practice of deny, reclaim, and that seems so reminiscent of what the city's doing, because I have multiple people that reach out to me because of my activism and talking to me about the sewer overflows they have in their homes, and every single time, the city will come there and look at it. Nope, it's your fault. I have a friend who lives on Porter Avenue. I think, and I may not be 100% accurate on this, but I think she told me she lives in a house that our current mayor used to own.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and she has had tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage over the course of many years because of sewer overflows in her home. She's had plumbers and contractors come out and use video cameras to videotape all of the lines, and it's on the city's side, but the city still claims it's not our fault, it's your fault.
Well,
And I understand they're trying to be good stewards of the people's money, but that citizen deserves to be made whole.
Right.
You guys deserve to be made whole because it wasn't your lines that were collapsed. It wasn't your lines that had root ball intrusions. It was the city's. Nobody's saying that the city is responsible for the massive rain. That's in God's hands.
right.
But the city is responsible for maintaining infrastructure, and they failed to do so, in my opinion.
And I think that's one of the reasons why we are here talking with you, is because this is not just our problem. This is a citywide issue. There's multiple people that have flooding issues, and we're just trying to share our story and experience so that we can help other people in the community get the help that they need too, because obviously it's a terrible issue that affects people negatively, and we know it's been pretty difficult for us to try and manage, so trying to look for answers.
And to take that a step further, it's not just about flooding issues. It's about any issues that a member of the community has. They should be able to go to their to City Hall, to the mayor, to their elected representatives, and get guidance without being looked down upon, without being. You can discuss here in a few moments what kind of interaction you had when you finally found out what you needed to do, which was to go get a claim form. Here in a moment, if you want to talk about that, share that experience with you. I will say that we had another citizen report at a council meeting, so it's public record, that when she talked about her flooding issue, the one that occurred in July, she spoke directly to the mayor, and she reported that the mayor's response was, it's a crappy situation, but it's your crappy situation. He didn't use the word crappy. Or if someone says they're going to get back with you, not to take 100 days to do it. I mean, to me, that's a bigger theme here than just the flooding.
Yeah.
Just the lack of interest, the lack of involvement, the lack of seeking an answer for you all, whether it be an answer you want to hear or not.
Yeah.
You should be getting an answer. I would challenge any city council member to come forward and say, and I did this at the city council meeting the other day, have any of them called the EPA? Have any of them read all the reports related to these issues? Have any of them called the risk management company that's involved? I've called them all. And again, I'm not here to toot my own horn. I have no interest in becoming mayor. Some have accused me of that. I don't want to be mayor. That's not my interest. I'm just here to help good people. When I see people that need help, I try to get involved the best of my ability. But to my knowledge, none of your other council members have reached out to. I would be willing to bet there might be one, maybe two, that have actually read all the reports.
Yeah, I will say that my two council members in my ward, Ward 4, Teresa Green, who I ran against last spring, and Jim Dunn, have both requested copies of the EPA reports that I have, and I've sent them to both of them. And I do thank them for the open. I don't know if they've read them. Jim Dunn told me he's read through everything. I haven't had a response from Teresa
He's one
yet.
of them I was talking about that I believe has probably read it. There may be a couple others, but for the most part, I don't think most of the other 7 have not.
But they did request them, and I thank them for requesting that information. So it shows at least a little bit of movement.
Well, as a matter of fact, some of the reports haven't even been handed out at city council meetings. We've got the violation reports, but the early August report I don't think was handed out at the city council.
You mean the September inspection report?
The August report that talked about the April flooding at their place and at their neighbors.
Yeah, there was an investigation report that led to the August notice of violations. Yeah,
correct. I don't know that we received that as city council members, and we should have.
Yeah.
I've gotten it through. Actually, you got it through Freedom of Information.
Right, and I have all of those documents. I have a treasure trove of documents from both the city and from the Illinois EPA that I've obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests. That if anybody wants them, reach out to me. My cell phone number is 812-899-6267. I'll try to remember to put my number on the screen for you guys to see. Reach out to me and give me your email address. I will email you all of the files that you want.
That's great.
So far, the timeline of the issue is your flooding occurred on April 5th. You made numerous phone calls, attempts to get in touch with someone from the city to come out, check out the situation. It was over 100 days, sometime in August, before the head of the water department, Mr. Tipser, came out to talk to you in August, and that was just to inform you and the neighborhood that they were going to smoke the lines. The EPA had already been involved at this point, so I believe some of that. I believe they were being pressured by the EPA to do something at this point.
Right. I think that's why they even smoked the lines and cleaned the lines out was because the EPA was pressuring them to
Was
do that.
pressuring them, right.
We had also gone to the city council in May. So, the beginning of April, the flooding happened, and then we went in May due to one of our neighbors. Our neighbor that was kind of informed us, oh, you should go to the city council, let them know what happened. And that's, when we told our story to the city council.
I remember that.
I let them know about the dispatch, telling us that it was probably safe to go. The water was okay. It wasn't sewer water. But and to go back a little bit to your question of how did we find out it was sewer water. I had a personal friend at my work who has almost 30 years of experience working with flooding, and he would go in and rebuild and all that.
And
I
clean basements. that have
clean
been
and
flooded
yeah,
with sewage.
and dealing with restoration from flooding and disasters. And so I was just talking to him, let him know, told him what had happened and everything, and he said anytime water comes up out of that drain, the floor drain, which we had discovered, is coming up out of our floor drain in our basement, and he said anytime that happens, it's considered black water for insurance purposes and everything. That's sewage water,
So for someone to report to you that it was storm water only, I don't understand how they could have made it.
And I don't blame that person, the dispatch caller, and so.
Yeah, they're not the one educated on it. But
Yeah,
they're
right.
relaying information from the person who's supposed to be educated.
And that
on
was
it.
my question to the city council in May was, can we get training for that person taking the dispatch calls, because that is the official line of communication when the water department is closed on a weekend. We call the police department, and then they should know what to say or not to say.
They should have a manual there.
And just say
Water issues, flip to it, and it should give an outline of what to do. And it doesn't sound like they. We did talk about that last meeting. What do you recall was the end result of that conversation?
Well, this was,
it was.
so at the last meeting was the third time that we've brought this issue up in
3
the
times.
city council.
Yeah.
So this was December city council.
December
We brought it up
25,
again.
city council. I addressed the situation again, asking for training or something to be done for this line of communication. And Mr. Tipsert, I believe, did say that there was, or that he would talk to them. Or, no, he didn't say that. He said that was wrong for them to say that or something.
He did say
And it
that.
was the chief of police.
He also
So
said no
after
one
the-
spoke to him,
Came up.
if I recall correctly. Did you guys recall?
I don't remember.
I thought that he said during your initial call that no one actually talked to him.
I don't remember.
It's on your tape, Louie. Obviously, the city
Yeah.
won't broadcast these. We've tried to get that done for transparency, but another reason why we should have live streaming of our council meetings.
Yeah,
But,
I will be recording the next meeting, provided that I'm able to get off work in
Okay.
time to be there. So,
so you asked
We brought it up
for
again.
a process to be put in place.
Right. And then after the city council had ended, Officer White came and addressed Scott and let him know that, or you want to tell him what he said to you?
Yeah, he said he was going to talk to the dispatcher and make sure that some kind of training or instruction happens on what they should say, when somebody calls about a water
Sure.
emergency. So
yeah, and to
that
her
was
credit, Alderman Don Brewer did suggest that from the council table as well, that there needs to be some sort of a operating procedure or training put in place for dispatch. I think there's a lot of turnover in that department. I
Yeah.
think that was
Oh,
mentioned.
okay.
A
But
manual
But-
would solve
yeah,
that.
some sort of
Yeah.
training or manual.
there should be
So-
there needs to be action
Or
taken,
Correct.
not just saying we should do it.
Correct.
there needs to be
Correct.
someone on call all the time for the water department. Maybe
Yeah.
it shouldn't even go to dispatch.
That would be
could
good.
Be an option.
But to be clear and fair, also, the dispatch is ran by the county. That's the county E911. That's not something the city has direct control over. So the council could vote on that, but
And-
it's a toothless vote.
Well, and the dispatch caller, apparently, I found out later that it goes to the Bridgeport dispatch.
Yeah, that's where the E911
So,
center is. Yeah,
Yeah, right there next to the
Rutgers camp,
Rutgers
yeah.
building,
Yeah.
across from the gas station.
Yeah.
So again, that happened. This discussion happened for a third time at a city council meeting in December.
After
You
was
brought it up in May.
Yeah.
Again, does everyone sense a theme here? Inaction, late action, denial. It's frustrating.
Just kind of avoiding the
Avoidance.
issue.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well,
Instead
Like
of
hoping that
addressing
maybe
it.
we won't keep bringing it up. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming that, but these are pretty big issues. I feel like that we can't sweep under the rug, so to speak.
Sure. And to you all's credit, and to your neighbors, and to other people that are supporting what Louie and I are trying to do, which is to get our local government to be more efficient, and we can talk about that in a moment, about timekeeping issues, to be more accountable. To y'all's credit, you keep coming to the meetings, and that's what we have to have. The moment people stop coming to these city council meetings, that's when, in my opinion, those who do want this to be swept under the rug will just breathe a sigh of relief and be like, good, they're not coming anymore, we can move on.
Right.
We don't move on until we get solved.
Yeah, we really
That's
need,
my
yeah,
position.
We'd really love to have more citizens show up to city council meetings and just have more eyes, like you said, for
Exactly.
accountability, more people, more citizens knowing what's going on and seeing what's going on and seeing, the elected officials and what they're doing and
Yeah, if you show up,
I mean,
you may not be experiencing flooding.
no.
You may experience something else later on that you might need attention brought to an issue that you have if you show up to these meetings. But just show up in support
right.
of your fellow citizens. Show up to show that you're interested in holding your elected officials accountable. That's the main thing.
I didn't know about any of this. I can't remember what I was specifically speaking about at the May council meeting. I've been speaking at a lot of the council meetings. I'm sure the mayor's sick of seeing me raise my hand at the beginning of every
I remember
meeting.
you brought up the new proposed plans for the new wastewater plant.
Okay. Yeah, because a lot of
And that
people
was-
had asked me to oppose that, and I was like, okay, well, I can get behind opposing that. I have since changed my mind after the engineer spoke to the council and answered all of my questions.
But Louis, I want to remind you, that's the same engineer. I'm not sure if it's the same engineer. It's the same company that said that they filed
our NPDES.
our NPDES
Correct.
permit application in
I didn't
April
realize that.
with absolutely no proof, no copies, no billing to do it, nothing. It wasn't done until August. So, with that said, I question whether all the information that destroys a person's credibility.
Well,
Once you discover that you've been what I've referred to numerous times as gaslit,
yeah.
your credibility's shot until you prove to me otherwise.
True.
So you're basing, you say you changed your mind, and that's a valid and fair point.
Yeah.
I still don't buy that that's the best location
Okay.
for other reasons.
That's fair.
So, we can respectfully disagree, but we don't have all the facts either.
Right.
We don't have what we know are facts.
Well, he did answer all the questions that I had
He did.
about it
Yeah.
effectively, and I think I'm able to wrap my mind around the answers he gave and understand the answers he gave to realize that they seem scientifically based. But I learned about your situation when you got up and spoke that evening, and I had no idea that you were Hannah's husband. I'd never met you before. I'd known her for probably 16, 17 years or something like that. I met your parents many, many years ago. I know your brother Peter because I had a building in Bridgeport where I had an indoor half pipe, and he was on a bike on his half pipe doing things that I thought surely was going to have an insurance claim against my building. Your brother was crazy.
He's really good on a bike.
Yeah.
He was.
Wild stuff he was doing. So, but I learned about your situation, and then your neighbor reached out to me on Facebook and asked me to get involved with his issue, and I got involved because I care. I want to see you guys made whole. You guys went through you had a pretty bad year.
Yeah.
And but you filed a claim.
Yep.
And we want to get into that. So when you found out you could file a claim, you came to the city to get that, and just describe the interaction that you had with with an elected representative at the city council.
Before you do that, though, tell everyone how you found out you could file a claim. Wasn't that through another citizen?
It was through
Okay.
another citizen that spoke to Scott.
So all
Yeah.
these calls you made, no one from City Hall said, hey, here's a process you can go through to seek out reimbursement. No one suggested that, did they?
No.
Okay.
So
No,
we-
and to me, just to be clear, I mean, we, like you said, we had a lot of stuff in our basement that we had
Tens of thousands of dollars of
yeah,
loss here.
and we,
Talk.
you know, we didn't just, you know, like was mentioned before, we did something about it. We didn't just like, oh, there's 3 feet of water in our basement, just let it sit
Right.
and let
Right.
insurance deal with it or whatever. And we were actively trying to fix the situation.
We had
We had
plumbers
lots
coming
of-
out. We had our insurance company coming out. We got a sump pump. You know, like different things. We were actively trying to do.
And we had lots of stuff in our basement, lots of valuable things, and so the amount of damages, you know, the cost, not
Well,
only
either
to the
structure,
belongings or personal possessions, but then the mostly finished basement down there
Right.
has been upwards of $40,000
Okay.
that we, you know, estimate that we've experienced damage. So.
And we had a company come out to give us an estimate on how much it would cost to just fix the damage and clean the basement, and it was $12,000 to just
Not to count your belongings.
Not
Not
including
counting all the
nothing
work
like
that
that.
you all have already done to
Right.
get to the point.
And
Yeah.
that was
That you're
not
clean.
that was not to replace anything, not to rebuild.
not to rebuild or anything. Yeah, that was just
You know,
getting-
it was just
bad stuff out and
cleaning
it.
out.
Okay, okay,
and
that's,
getting
I
and
misunderstood.
just basically clean and demolish and get it, you know,
Okay.
cleared
Right.
out,
All right,
which we did ourselves as
right,
well.
okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I misunderstood that.
We
Okay.
had to get a new water filter or water heater parts and electrical parts for
Furnace
furnace and
parts,
like all the different things. So,
It's terrible.
anyways, it's been a lot, and so that was in April, and then I actually had a medical emergency that was very serious. That happened 3
Life-threatening.
weeks after the flood, and so that delayed some things. I was in the hospital for a while, and then we had a tragedy in our family in the end of May, and so that also kind of delayed us trying to figure. I mean, it wasn't a priority to us after we have life-threatening issues and things. And so, anyways, there's a lot put on my husband. And this neighbor was very gracious, talked to us, helped us with these things, found out we could file a claim against the city because the money we did get from our home insurance company was not enough to even cover the cleaning costs, let alone all of our belongings and rebuilding our basement.
Okay,
So we decided to go ahead and file a claim. I went in,
because this neighbor told you how to do it.
right.
No one from the city. All right.
That's right. I don't think I even really knew you yet. I hadn't been coming to the meetings because of my medical emergency. So I think it was July that I went in to get the claim paper form. Anyways, I went in and talked to Rodney, who is the clerk there, and told him why I was there. And he said he got the form out for me, but he just kind of said my chances were slim. He's like, you know, I wish you would have come in sooner to file this claim, you know, because at this point, I don't think that our risk management company will be able to help you, but I'll go ahead and submit your claim and make a list of all of your belongings and different things that have been affected. But he wasn't very encouraging, you know, like,
And that happened in July.
he wasn't like, I'm sorry this happened. He lives catty corner from our house, you know, and he knows
He knows who you
what's
are.
been going on, what happened, and
And it's important that you mentioned it's a
Kinda
risk
disheartening.
management company. It's not an insurance company. The whole purpose, what I understand of this risk management company, is to find tort immunity for the city. Their job is to find any way possible to figure out where the city can be held immune and blameless, so that they don't have to let go of any of the money to make you whole.
that's what it seems to be, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Very much so.
And I'll share a bit of a conversation I had with them here in a moment. But just to clarify what you just said, happened in April. You made numerous calls. No one comes out till August. And that was just to tell the whole community they're going to smoke the lines. In July, you find out from a neighbor that you can go file a claim. No one prior to July, besides your neighbor had suggested, hey, won't you come in? There's paperwork you could file. We'll turn it over to the risk management company. Then when you do come in, it was a discouraging conversation. You were kind of told, hey, maybe you should have come in sooner. Well, it would have been nice if they'd have been given that option to come in sooner.
Yeah,
You know,
to let us know that we could file a claim, and then is there some kind of deadline? Oh, you have
exactly.
60 days or 90 days from the time of the incident to, file a claim.
You've come to all these meetings. You spoke at most of them. I believe a lot of the issues that you've spoken about, your neighbors have spoken about, things that I've spoken up at the meetings about, I think it seemed to be falling on deaf ears. No one else asked questions on the council. Ms. Brewer has asked a couple of questions, but no one is really engaged. And that's discouraging to me that no one is actually, being interested enough to talk to you guys about this. So I called up the risk management company.
And we did as well.
You all have several times. I think I've talked to them maybe 3 or 4 times. During one of my initial conversations, the risk management seemed to be operating under the assumption that this was a flooding of this magnitude was a new issue in our town. As a matter of fact, Mayor Courtney reported on Channel 10 News.
It was Channel 2.
Or excuse me, Channel 2,
yeah.
WTWO, the first time that they had a story about it, that it was a, quote, new problem, a new issue.
Yeah.
Subsequently after that, we've had someone who works at City Hall call on behalf of the city to report to that risk management company that they recalled taking a phone call from the neighbor that we're talking about that has been guiding you all through all this. They recalled that neighbor calling about flooding issues like this as long as 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. Now, so you go from being, again, it's a theme. I hope everyone sees that. It's a theme of denial and passing the buck. So you go from the mayor saying it's a new issue to someone at City Hall saying, I recall taking phone calls from this individual, the other individual we're referring to. We just don't want to use their name because they're not here to talk and speak up on behalf of themselves, but themselves. Anyway, 6 years ago, they took calls from this neighbor. Now, I spoke to the risk management company after that phone call from the City Hall official, and the risk management company, I have her name, I have the quote written down. She said that based on that new information, that just might be enough to pay the claim for the neighbor. They did specifically talk about your claim, but they did say the neighbor, and then I went on to say, well, if it's enough to pay for the neighbor's claim, it should be enough to pay for Mr. and Mrs. Durrant's claim as well. They did not respond. They didn't say anything. As a matter of fact, there are 3 families that had serious issues between the April and July flooding. And when I first called, even though it's in Lawrenceville and 2 of them were based on the same flooding event, the risk management company had these claims distributed to 3 different individuals at their company, and they weren't even communicating extensively. After everybody started calling, at some point, I got hold of their boss, and their boss said, hey, we're putting all this together, and we're going to have one person. Her name was Lexi Fottle, I believe is her name.
Into a multi-claim, multi-person claim or whatever.
Yeah, but you got one person now. You got the whole process centralized to one person, as opposed to 3 different people looking into things and getting different answers. But you can use that if you ever need that information from me. I will gladly tell anyone that asks that Lexi Fottle said that she didn't say it would be, that might be enough information, the new information she got, which was in probably August or September. That's how late she got this information.
Well, I want to point out
that it wasn't a new issue.
The second flooding that happened here was actually early August, not in July.
Okay.
We had 2 massive rain events in the year that caused a lot of sewer overflows. Because I remember.
You talking about the one on 12th?
To 12th Street and all that. Yeah, that happened
Okay,
in
in
August
okay.
as well. Yeah, there.
right.
I mean, it flooded those areas both times during the year because I
Yeah.
remember I posted some pictures from the April one where 15th Street was underwater, and it happened again in August.
But it did happen before the August city council meeting because that
Right.
individual we're talking
Yes.
about made that report
Correct.
at the
Yeah.
city council.
Yeah, because August city council meeting was
In
August
August.
14th, and this happened during the first
Right.
few days of August.
So then the conversation I had with Lexi Fottle was probably in October. It definitely wasn't in August. It was September, October. I had my notes at home. I could get the exact date. But again, that's how many months after April, you know, that,
It was-
Yeah, it's
it's a
been-
that they're
lot.
getting new information.
And I'd also like to add our friend that lives south of town that experienced flooding. She said that she has been doing this since 2019.
Wow.
So, and yeah, and I think Aaron Tipsford said that he remembers, he told her to her face that he remembers talking to her back in 2019.
Can you
So
imagine how
it's been a
frustrated
no.
she is?
Well,
I mean,
it's
you all getting,
years.
at least you're getting word out, you're getting people involved like Louie and I and your neighbors, this person you just referred to. Imagine how frustrated she has to be that this has been happening that long ago. I wasn't aware of her. I'd have been talking to her.
So-
and just to show that it's not a new issue, that day of the flooding on April 5th, I called or I texted two of my neighbors, one family we know really well, and I just said, "Hey, are you guys having any problems with flooding?" They said, "No, we have a sump pump." And
You get flooding all the time.
but he did mention that their previous owners of that house had issues and had issues with the city, trying to deal with the city and the flooding in their basement. I don't know all the details there, but I
This
know
is a
that they
different
mentioned
neighbor.
that. So there's one example.
In the same area that
house,
you're in.
the house right next to me, the person that owns that house, he doesn't stay there all the time. He's not there a lot. And I had texted him, and he said, I don't. So I was concerned that his house was getting flooded, and he wasn't there, and he didn't know about it. So I just said, hey, I know your mom's in the area. Maybe have somebody check on your house. And he said, oh, I had issues with some other sewage problems there in the years past, but I got it fixed, so it should be fine. So just to, I don't know all the details of their stories, but there's issues in our neighborhood for sure. And so I don't know if it's.
But a lot of the water
directly-
that might have went to their homes was going into yours. That's where the pressure was being relieved at.
Yours?
Was in your home and your neighbor.
that has a
Yeah.
It's just to show that it's not a new issue. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
and I talked to, there's a guy at work that lives in town in Lawrenceville, and he, has had issues. So,
Just like the issues that the most recent EPA violation report pointed out in November, based on the September 16th inspection of our sewer plant, those issues didn't happen overnight either.
it didn't.
That's right.
there's no.
Again, a theme.
Yeah. So you brought up our sewer superintendent and water superintendent Aaron Tipsford, and what's your opinion of the way he has handled this at the city council meetings and the attitude he's shown
Yeah.
regarding these issues?
Yeah, so, I mean, just to point out my mentality going into all this back in April, starting to get involved, and going to the first city council meeting that I've been to was in May, and brought up our issue and everything. I didn't even know who Aaron Tipsford was. I couldn't point him out of the crowd, right? And I didn't because he was at that city council meeting. I spoke there, and I had talked about him or mentioned his name or something, and I didn't even know he was there in the room. And he was sitting fairly close to me. And later in the meeting, I found out, oh, that's him right there. And at that meeting, he didn't talk to me personally at all. It just seems like he's been, avoiding talking to us for a long time. And my mentality going into this was like, okay, I understand the city sewer system, our neighborhood, sewer lines were put in the 70s, just like there's got to be issues just because they're so old and it's outdated. And I didn't think, oh, Lawrenceville's not swimming in money and you can just fix everything and make it brand new. And so I was really going into it with the mindset, like, I understand there's problems and, I wasn't going into it with an accusatory, the city's doing wrong things and they're messing up and everything, but just thinking there's a big issue here because everything's so old and antiquated and the sewer lines are broken and the storm drains are mixing, obviously, and coming up in people's houses.
And groundwater.
But I think it would have gone a
And-
long way
Yeah.
for us, is that what we're going to get to? Is if Aaron would have come and talked to us after that and just been like, I'm really sorry this happened to you. We're going to try and do what we can to fix it, or, explain maybe what happened, but there was no communication whatsoever. I mean, we didn't know
Just
who
seems
he
like
was or
everyone
anything. And
on
it
that
just-
side was running from the problem.
Yeah, it's just been a poor reflection and a whole experience working and trying to work with the city, with the city council or the water department and getting the runaround and getting avoided, not getting answers, not getting upfront like initiative, like, oh, you have damage, you can file a claim. Nothing, just really not a lot of help. And then just more things that we've found out and learned about Mr. Tipsard and just how the city is operating. Like you mentioned the time clocks and it's just been disappointing.
What he's referring
I
to
guess.
there is that our city workers currently are not using any type of time clock. They don't report the time that they start work or they end work. They just put the number of hours, and that's not their fault. That's not happening. That's administration's fault for not setting that up.
Yeah, and then department heads haven't been signed off.
Yeah, the
by
mayor is
anybody.
directly responsible for the department head's times. In his over 4-year tenure, he has not been signing off on their timesheets. And he was quoted at one of the city council meetings when I asked him if he's even aware of the overtime that they work. He says, sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. He's not getting the time pre-approved, and he's not even knowledgeable of the people who are working directly beneath him when they're working overtime.
Well, you mentioned the city's not swimming in money. It brings up a couple things. First of all, last year, no, I guess not last year, it's now 2026. In 2024, we paid Aaron Tipsard over $74,400 in overtime and double time money. And he has had the opportunity.
That's on top of his salary.
On top of his normal hourly, yes. So he made $151,000 in change in 2024. He was on track to do roughly $155,000 before we started raising the issue of overtime, which it may have been curtailed a little bit toward the last half of the year. But he was on track to make another $75,000 in overtime in 2025, and I'll find out what that total came to.
And that's something else. One other thing that it's just disappointing to hear about. How the city's operating, where a city employee or department head gets a call after work, after they've left work, and if they talk on the phone for 15 minutes about something, they get to charge 2 hours of overtime. And digging into it from what you guys have told me, the way the wording in the contract is and everything in the city ordinance.
The wording is report to work. However, it seems like
if they get called back to work.
Back to work, yeah.
Back to work,
Instead of a call from work. And I
Yes.
think that, and somewhere along the line, they've, and I'm not saying it's Aaron Tipsard specifically, but at some point in the city's operation, people have interpreted that as, if you get a call from work and it lasts 15 minutes, you get to charge 2 hours overtime. And so that's just kind of a disappointment. It's like, that doesn't seem honest.
No, and I think what happened
forthright.
there, though, Louis, if I could comment
But
on this.
I could
is-
understand if you get called back to work and you have to work
Sure.
on something for an hour.
You get a minimum amount of
okay,
time, whatever
minimum
that
2 hours,
negotiated,
exactly.
whatever
2
that
hour
negotiates
overtime
out to.
pay.
Yes, but not a
it's
phone
just-
call. And I won't even say you shouldn't get paid a phone call. But the point is, the contract wasn't clear. It was clear in my mind. Report if you get called back to work. However, it appears to me that management at some point, this could have been a previous mayor. We don't know how long this has been going on. Allowed the union to decide that called back to work means a phone call to talk about work.
Yeah.
Because I pushed the issue at one of the meetings. I got a little pushback initially, then I brought it up a second time. Our city attorney got involved, and he issued a letter saying that the language wasn't clear, but that my interpretation of the language was probably the way the contract was meant to be, but over time it morphed into where they get paid even if it's a phone call. And he went on to say the next contract needs to be needs to clarify that language.
Another point about the money, though, during the previous presidential administration, there was a level of funding given nationwide called ARPA, and it was American Restoration Act or whatever. And the city of Lawrenceville did receive ARPA funds. And one of the things they spent those ARPA funds on? Every city employee, except the mayor, received a $1,000 bonus from the city. And what if that $1,000, not that they don't deserve money, these guys work hard. We have some really good workers in the city.
We do.
But we have failing infrastructure, and this money could have been earmarked for infrastructure expenses.
Which is what it was for,
Yes.
originally intended for.
Yes. And instead it was given to every city employee as a $1,000 bonus. Again, I have no problem with these guys getting money. I think they're hard workers. They do a wonderful job. Grant and his crew did a wonderful job decorating our city park for Christmas this year.
Yeah.
They have one-upped each other every year. It just gets better and better. And they deserve something for that, but could we have used that money differently?
They could have still got a bonus out of other funding in our budget.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
The
that
ARPA
money
funds should have been used for issues like this.
Mm-hmm. And we've had businesses that have closed recently in Lawrenceville. We have Hardee's that has closed down. We have Lawrenceville Drive-In, which, God, their ice cream was so good. I'm going to miss them. They've gone out of business, retired, and we want to attract new business to our community. Our community without business is going to die. And how incredibly hard is it going to be to attract new business when we have issues like this with our infrastructure and with our wastewater plant having serious violations? What business owner wants to invest their money to build a business in Lawrenceville to find out that their money, the taxes are going to start being diverted to fund paying for fines? We're at the point now with the violations on our wastewater plant. We've been operating our wastewater plant since October 1st without a valid it's NPDES, National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permit, which is required to discharge from our wastewater plant into the Amberall River. It's required under the Clean Water Act, Federal Clean Water Act.
Yeah.
So every day that we're doing that, we are potentially subject to fines of $25,000 to $60,000 per day. We are at the point now of potentially over $5 million in fines. That's over $1,000 per man, woman, and child who live within the city of Lawrenceville. People around this table, $1,000. Could we come up with? You guys could come up with $1,000. I could come up with $1,000. You can come up with $1,000. But that's not just for your household. That's for you, and each of your children.
Right.
1,000 each. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, something that could have been prevented.
Could have been prevented because we don't have to allow trees to grow in our sludge tank.
Or even if not prevented, because you're going to have people out there say, well, how'd they know it was going to back up? Okay, I'll grant you that. Maybe not prevented, but addressed much sooner.
Yep.
Addressed, more, I was going to say proactively, but react more quickly and address the issue without having to get the EPA involved. And certainly don't challenge a resident to contact the EPA because you don't think the EPA is going to do anything.
Because the EPA is clearly doing something.
Yeah.
I've spoken to a representative of the EPA who has informed me that our sewer superintendent is being investigated for falsifying documents. That's her words, not mine. Falsifying documents because of the multiple discharge monitoring reports that are submitted to the EPA have identical values on them. And that's what prompted the investigation, according to what I've been told. That prompted the investigation that occurred in September, where
What's
they found our lab to be covered in dust, evidence of animals, all of the almost all of the chemicals being expired. Which it is my opinion, had the chemicals had been being used, they would have been replenished with newer chemicals that
Right.
weren't expired.
Tell everyone what a discharge monitoring report is. That's the water that's actually going into our river.
Where they take samples of the effluent, which is going into the river. There's influent and effluent. Influent is the water that's coming into the plant. Effluent is the water that's been treated going out of the plant into the river, into the environment. Ideally, the water coming out of our plant should look like this. But it doesn't. It's gray, milky, and it smells of raw sewage.
And that's a fact. We know why.
Because that is how it is described in the EPA's official documentation.
Correct.
So we have multiple violations. It is my opinion that those violations would not occur if the person in charge of our plant gave a damn enough to do the job right. That's my opinion, and I'm entitled to my opinion.
Yes, and I would want to say that if someone wants to come to the defense of what I keep saying is just a theme of denial and I hesitate to use the word cover up, but at the very least it's denial, and it's a theme of not engaging with the community and fixing problems when they come to the attention of those who need to fix them. If there was more action right after the issues have happened, we wouldn't have had the EPA involved, right?
I agree.
Probably wouldn't have had the EPA involved. But if you took any of these issues by themselves, maybe you could write them off to a mistake or didn't have time to do something. But my goodness, look at the whole picture, people. Look at the whole picture.
I have to disagree with you there, though, because it's 11.
The discharge monitoring reports would be the exception. I agree
11
with
out of
that.
12
And
months
the lab
having
issue.
identical lab results.
What I meant
from a
by
lab
one
that
was 1 month, though,
inoperational.
Louie. I was talking about 1 month.
1
Go
month,
ahead.
yeah. But identical lab reports from a lab that appeared to be non-operational. How did that data get generated?
Right.
Yes.
Well,
according to the mayor, it's a mystery.
Yeah, and you said something about proactive and reactive. We would love to live in a world where we could be 100% proactive. That we don't live in that world.
It's not possible.
We have to have a fair balance of proactive and reactive. Being 100% proactive doesn't account for things like a massive rainfall that happened twice last year. So we have to be reactive in those situations, but we need to be proactive in the regards of going through and making sure that we're smoke testing and camera testing our sewer lines, more frequently. That we're getting rid of the root wall intrusions. That we're maintaining proper, infrastructure. We need to be proactive so that we are. Here's a council agenda for our December 11th, and I notice on here, like on every council agenda, it says department head reports, where our department heads are Mark Griggs over the street department, Grant McDonald over Parks and Cemetery, Aaron Tipsford over water and sewer, and Jim White is the chief of police. And those 4 department heads have the opportunity to get up and speak at the council meetings. As a matter of fact, there is a designated time for them to get up and give their reports. And Chief White typically gives a pretty good report of his department. If there's anything of concern to mention, I've seen him get up and ask for help. He needs to hire officers. I remember, and I've said this before on our podcast, and I've said it at council meetings, at the April council meeting, when he was offered the opportunity to give his department head report, Aaron Tipsford said, "A lot of water." He did not say, "Guys, we're struggling to get things done. We've got this we've got to fix. We've got this. We've got trees growing in our sludge tank. I need you to hire me people." He has had that opportunity. And so the last council meeting, do you recall when the mayor said, "We're not going to make any changes in that department because we have, as a city, failed to provide adequate support to Mr. Tipsford"?
He also pointed out that when Aaron Tipsford stepped into the role as wastewater department head or whatnot, that the equipment was out of date and not up to to the top standards, but
we weren't
he
under
said
violations
we were
then.
kind of he said, well, we kind of set them up for failure to.
Well,
That was his
things go
position,
wrong,
yes, and I
but-
But
believe,
he's been in that position for a while,
It's
and
been
nothing's
correct.
changed.
since August of 2018, he's been the department head. The prior department head was able to conduct his laboratory testing every morning. He got his stuff done right, and the prior department head also was responsible to make sure his water department went out and manually read the water meters. We now drive by and use telemetry equipment to read the water meters. Okay, so
so it takes
it's far less
much
labor
less time.
intensive.
Yes, much less time.
They have similar staffing before now. As a matter of fact, at times the prior department head had less staffing than what the current one does.
How did you find that out?
Through FOIA request.
Okay.
And so the problem here is, in my opinion, is apathy. He doesn't care
That's-
enough
yes.
to get up and say, I need help.
Yeah.
So I did FOIA request any documentation included in any employee files, any minutes during any public meeting, whether it's a committee meeting or a council meeting, dating back to when he became the department head, where staffing was a topic of discussion. And it did happen. August 13th, 2025 was the very first mention in anything of any staffing issues in his department. But 4 months prior to that, at a city council meeting, after massive rainfall, and you guys experienced a tragic flooding in your home, Aaron Tipsworth said, lot of water. And I think that is the height of apathy. It's, I don't know if you bring up a couple words that I think is beautiful. Is it malfeasance or misfeasance? Is it deliberately doing the wrong thing, or is he accidentally doing the wrong thing? But in either of those situations, he's doing the wrong thing, in my opinion.
And
Right.
once it's
And
it's
getting
pro-
paid exponentially for
He's getting paid wonderfully for doing the wrong thing. Yeah.
And once it's been brought to their attention, and when I say they, I'm specifically talking about Aaron Tipser and the mayor. Nothing's being done. And what I meant earlier when I said that's his position, I wasn't talking about that's Aaron's position as the water is the water superintendent. I was referring to that's the mayor's position right now, that nothing is going to change at that level. That Aaron's staying and nothing's going to change except we're going to look into getting him more help.
Yeah, he said.
I think that's the wrong position. I think apathy has gone on for too long, and I think it's time for a change in that position.
Well,
That's my opinion.
Yeah, to bring up the the issue that all the equipment was out of date, or it's old and it's antiquated, or whatnot. But we've been told by another gentleman who I don't know if you want to bring him up by name, but he runs several. He oversees several water
In Indiana.
wastewater treatment plants in Indiana, which are very old, and he is able to get way better results to get water that
Yeah,
He
looks
actually brought
this
samples.
out of very old facilities.
his name is Matt Bruff.
And so it's-
Yeah, and Matt is he's applied for reciprocity with the state of Illinois to get his Class 1 wastewater certification.
And he lives here in Lawrenceville.
He lives in Lawrenceville. He lives right behind City Hall. He lives in Ward 1. Incidentally, Kelly Lewis had resigned from her position in Ward 1, and Matt has submitted his name via email to the mayor as for consideration to take her place on the city council. I strongly encourage the mayor to appoint him because he has vital education in this area. He could direct the
Lots of
council.
experience.
Yeah, he's got a lot of experience, and he did bring samples from the various plants he runs, and they were all as clear as this bottle. And out of one of those bottles, he goes, "I would drink this because it's not only been treated, but it's also been treated with chlorine before it's so it's been chlorinated, and it's potable water." So he would drink his effluent.
That's saying something.
Yeah, but he won't even fish in our river because of the stuff we're putting into it.
He has made that
Yeah.
direct comment to us that he won't, once he has read the reports, the EPA reports,
Yeah.
and that's something else that's very important. I want to make sure that people understand. Everything that we talk about regarding the reports, regarding the effluent going into the river, regarding the timelines, we have documentation for.
Yes. Yes, we do.
The other side wants to resort to personal attacks, and they can keep doing that. One in particular, he's on the city council. His name is Victor Fritsch. He admitted at the last meeting. He voted on something at the last meeting in opposition to me to simply ask the city workers to write down their time in and time out each day. He voted against that. Why did he say he voted against that, Louie?
Well, when I was confronting the mayor for what appeared to be a violation of the Open Meetings Act, because he had a meeting in his office where Councilmember Goins and Councilmember Fritsch were both present, and they denied that city business was being discussed. But later on video, and you can anybody watching this podcast can refer to the recorded video of the December 11th, 2025 City Council meeting where Mr. Goins admits that he was there reviewing city time slips. That's city business, right?
That is city.
That is city business. So while he was reviewing this and discussing this with the mayor, Mr. Fritsch was also present, which is a violation of Open Meetings Act. The reason is because that is 3 members of our corporate body. 3 out of 9. So a quorum is the majority of that number, which is 5. The Illinois Open Meetings Act requires that anytime there is a majority of a quorum, which is 3 out of those 5, and city business is discussed, that needs to be properly publicly noticed 48 hours in advance with an agenda, and that needs to be an open meeting so the public can attend. So this was clearly a violation of the Open Meetings Act, but Mr. Fritsch accused me of having them followed. I don't know, maybe it's paranoia.
He's saying that's how you knew that they were at City Hall, which
so
is not.
That's not the case. We received a phone call from someone who had called the city, asked to speak to the mayor, and was told the mayor was in a meeting with 2 council members. That's why we looked into it. So anyway, at that point, uncharacteristic of me when I'm typically addressing the city council, I got angry because what he said. So I say, and it was you who a few months ago had written on your folder for anyone to walk by to see, F-U-C-K Volkman.
Yeah.
Which was crude. And he said, so? Clearly not denying it.
He also had comments on there about how evil I was.
But to me, that is an open admission that he did do this. And I accused him then. I said, and that's why you voted against Volkman's motion earlier for the time clocks, because you don't like him. And he said, you're damn right. To which I replied, you see everybody? He said, you're damn right. That is inappropriate and childish. And I took my seat.
So that's how he makes his voting decisions.
He made his voting decision
based on whether he likes the person that made the motion, not based on the motion.
He voted against a motion that was in the best interest of his constituents because he doesn't like you,
right?
Which is completely childish. That is a dereliction of his duty to his constituents, the people who voted to put him in office, and wholly inappropriate.
I think it's fair to take that a step further. He's welcome to deny this if he wants. I wouldn't expect that he will, but if he doesn't like me and he voted against a very logical, how many of you people out there get to go to work and you don't have to tell your employer when you're there and when you leave? Not very many people can do that. Maybe if you're self-employed.
You know, I'm a commissioned salesperson, and I had a discussion with my HR manager. She's since retired. Why do I have to clock in?
Yeah.
And she said that's because of workman's comp. We need to know when you're at work in case you get injured at work.
It's not just about whether we trust them or not. That's part of it right there.
Yeah.
Workman's comp issues. So let's take that rationale that he said on camera. He voted against something that was very logical because he didn't like me. Okay. Is it a fair assumption, even more than an assumption, but we'll use that word for now, that he's not engaging with you all or with the other people who've experienced these flooding because I've been kind of taking up your cause a little bit and he doesn't like me. So by association, he's not going to get involved in your issues. That's a darn shame.
You know, at the beginning of the meeting, I've never been anything but polite and cordial to the members of that council. And prior to the meeting starting, he walked past me and I stood out of his way and I greeted him. Hello, Mr. Fritsch. How are you, sir? and he just glared at me like he hated me. And I
He's
couldn't
just
understand.
an unhappy.
Yeah. Well, it's okay.
person.
As
But
of now,
that's-
I've said it not the last episode, but a previous episode. I don't care who knows it. I am going to work aggressively to get him replaced on the council in the next election.
Right. So, yeah, and we should. Now, again, think hard on that, everyone. If he's making decisions like that on such a simple issue, how aggressively do you think he's going to get involved in helping out people that need help when he looks at who else is advocating for them?
I don't
Me
think
in
he
this
will.
case, you in this case, and you think he's going to go out of his way to be
No.
helpful to them? And I'll say this as well. I would venture to say that he's not the only one on the council that operates that way.
And I don't like people that operate that way, that they're going to vote based on who they like or dislike. I ran for city council last year. I lost, but I like the person that I ran against. I ran against her because I thought I could do a better job. It had nothing to do with her personality.
Right.
I think she's a wonderful person. She does a whole lot for this community.
Yeah.
I like Teresa, but I just thought I could do a better job. It had nothing to do with personalities.
And I don't think there needs to be sides.
No.
It should all be one group working together for the community, the city of Lawrenceville.
For the betterment of the people,
Right?
yes, absolutely.
There shouldn't be a division. This is not a political party,
Yeah.
not a political debate.
Correct.
This is the city of Lawrenceville that I feel like all of us should be able to cordially, talk to each other, have good discussions. It's okay if we don't all have the same
Exactly.
opinion about things, but we should be able to communicate well with each other and listen to what we have to say, and work together. It's not like we're not out to get each other. I feel like there's been a serious division in the city council from my, perspective.
Well, it's on
Where-
display. It's on full display with the other
It's
side.
very obvious. To
It's on full
see,
display
and-
on some of the Facebook comments that are made about you, that have been made about you. Very well put. You said something in the middle of that is so true. Doesn't mean that we all have to agree on how to fix the problem, but let's have a conversation about the problem.
Well, you and I
Let's not
disagree.
deny it. Let's not deny the problem.
Yeah,
Let's have a
exactly.
conversation about the problem and come up with solutions for the problem. The solutions that I keep saying the other side, I'm talking about those that are making decisions on the basis of things like Mr. Fritz has made, or those who are just being apathetic and not wanting to get involved at all.
Right.
Get involved, sit down, look at the facts. You may have a different way of dealing with this. You may say that in your opinion, that they don't have a claim. Back it up with fact. Don't just say because I don't like Volkman, I'm not gonna.
I get a lot of
I'm not gonna support them. Limit your conversation to the issues.
And
Yeah.
this I think the
frustrating.
sewage treatment plant and the sewage system issue that shouldn't be political at all in my mind. Like I
No.
said, when I came into this, I was just thinking, there's issues with the city system and it's old and it needs to be fixed, but it wasn't. There was no political
No.
Yeah,
slant to it. It's like
this
this
is-
is one of the basic
Yeah.
services a city government should be able to provide. We have law enforcement. That's huge, and providing clean water, drinking water, usable water, and then discharging
Yeah.
the sewage water that's been treated. But yeah, can't we just all work together and find a solution? And that was my mindset in the beginning. Is like I don't imagine Lawrenceville has tons of money that they're just
Right.
Right.
But if we
just don't want to fix stuff, and
If we
have all this
properly
money,
manage
but-
some of these other issues we bring up are adjacent to the solution for that, like the time clock issue. If we're properly monitoring the time, then we know we're paying our city employees appropriately. Do I believe that 100% of everyone's time is accurate? And not everyone. Again, it's my opinion that $74,400 a year in overtime is egregious.
Yeah, and what could that
Maybe
be
it's
put to?
warranted. Maybe it's warranted.
Another employee, maybe.
But we don't know. But if we would bring another employee on, that overtime would decrease. And he's paid a pretty decent hourly rate. So getting rid of the overtime at time and a half and the double time at double his time.
And if somebody's
we're
working that
saving-
much overtime, they're surely just exhausted, and it would be beneficial to have
And mistakes
an
happen.
extra employee or an assistant
Right.
to help and
Right.
to support that person.
Correct,
Their
because
role.
mistakes happen whenever you're tired, you know? So
Overworked.
Or
if we can,
apathy sets in.
if we,
Yeah.
apathy sets in, correct. And we need people, and we need someone in charge of our sewer plant who is passionate about wastewater treatment. Because that is so important to make sure that we are not killing the environment. Every drop of water we put into our Ambar River, it travels from here to the Wabash River, to the Ohio River, to the Mississippi River, to the Gulf of America. And we are potentially poisoning miles and miles and millions of people's, environment. And that's terrifying.
But even if someone doesn't want to recognize that, they say, oh, it gets diluted by the time it gets up. What about your own backyard?
Well,
That's
even
where
if
it
it gets
starts.
diluted, the reason we have this is because
Just playing devil's advocate.
we are
you know.
starving the fish in the Gulf of oxygen, because this, along with fertilizer and other things, this sewage is a very potent fertilizer, and it's fertilizing algae blooms at the Mississippi Delta going into the Gulf of America, and those algae blooms they're consuming nutrients from the water, and they're consuming oxygen, and it is not good for the wildlife.
Well, and how many other small towns like ours in the Midwest have the same problem with their
Right.
sewage or wastewater
It'd be
treatment?
interesting to
I don't
know.
know.
Yeah.
But,
Um,
go ahead.
I was just saying, point. Somebody to run to have any position in the city government or service, they just need to be passionate about helping and serving the community.
Yes.
and not only taking care of the environment and all that, but
And we need
just helping
redundancy.
your fellow citizens.
Yeah.
We need redundancy as well.
Yeah.
Maybe the mayor is protecting, he seems to be protecting Mr. Tipsword, and maybe it's because he doesn't see a viable alternative to Mr. Tipsword. And why is there not a viable alternative? Because we have not enforced the requirement to have someone else in that department being properly certified. If Mr. Tipsword got hit by a bus tomorrow, we have no one to run our water plant or our sewer plant
Yeah.
that is properly certified. We need redundancy. We have redundancy in our street department. We have redundancy in the other departments. They don't require, these extensive certifications. The police department requires a lot of certifications, but we have an assistant chief, and we have other people able to step into the role of chief of police if something tragic would happen to our chief of police.
Yeah.
We need redundancy. Even our mayor, we have a process for like recently the mayor was on vacation, and we had someone in the role of what's called a pro tem mayor who can act as in the role of a mayor. If the mayor resigns or something tragic happens to him, the council has the opportunity through their the ordinances to appoint a member of the council as the acting mayor. So there's redundancy in every department in our city except our water department and our sewer department, and that is wrong.
That is wrong.
It's irresponsible.
Yeah, that's
It's
dangerous.
poor management.
It's poor management, and that comes from the top.
Yes.
That is the mayor's fault, in my opinion. And not just the current mayor. It happened with previous mayor as well.
And whenever Tipsword stepped into the role, I don't know how many people realize this. Our NPDES permit, okay, is for a plant that processes 1 million gallons of water a day, or more, 1 million gallons plus a day. That requires a Class 1 operator. There's different classes of operator certification in the state of Illinois. At the time Mr. Tipsword stepped into the role, which was August of 2018, he was a Class 3 operator. He was on track, for redundancy, because the previous operator was a Class 1 operator. When he resigned and Aaron was put in the position, Aaron was a Class 3 operator. He was not properly certified from day one, August 2018. In August of 2021, he passed his exam for a Class 1 operator certification. At that time, he became what is known as a Class 1 operator in training, which required that he be properly supervised by a fully certified Class 1 operator. So far, the city and the EPA has failed to provide a name of who that was, indicating that there was no such person, in my opinion. Aaron became fully certified as a Class 1 operator on July 2nd, 2024. So that is almost an entire 6-year period where he was not properly certified to the level necessary to meet the requirements of our NPDES permit. An NPDES permit, again, was a National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permit, which is required under the Federal Clean Water Act. So we were in violation of law for almost 6 years by not having somebody properly certified. Not only that, during that time of being a Class 1 operator in training, there was a 2 years and 1 day period of time where he did not have an actual permit in play, a certification in place. From July 1st, 2022, when his Class 3 certification expired, until July 2nd, 2024, when his Class 1 operator certification became fully operational, he did not have a full certification. So there's some serious failings in oversight in our city. And do I blame Aaron Tipsworth for this? Partially. But I also blame the administration of our city in not overseeing that department properly, not making sure that important certifications are in place. What would happen if we had a police officer that operated for nearly 6 years without proper police certification? That
wouldn't be good.
That's
Probably go to
bad.
jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad, right?
Yeah.
And we need to make sure that if it's required by the law that we have the proper certification.
Or worse yet, that he was falsifying reports.
If he was,
Right.
and it appears at least that he may have been, so
Not the
it's a
police
problem.
officer.
Not the police
Mr.
officer.
Tipson.
Mr. Tipsworth, yes, yeah.
Well, but bringing up the police officer analogy, what would we do if we had a police officer who wasn't obeying the laws? Right? Then he would not be a police officer anymore. So if we have a water department manager who's letting trees grow and where they're not supposed to, and not reporting properly to the EPA, not cleaning the water,
lab.
like all
The
the
lab
lab, the
equipment.
lab wasn't even being used,
Right.
all these things, then he should, I feel like, be let go. Or if he doesn't
Yes.
have certification to back him up, it's apparent to me by his actions that he's not
But
really educated on what he should be doing, or he's choosing not to apply himself to what he knows,
Apathetic.
then, I feel like he should be let go from that position. And
It's a great analogy. We wouldn't
agree.
allow that
I agree.
in the position of a police officer.
One victory I want to announce, Dwayne, and actually you brought this to my attention. Last month at the city council meeting, and I brought this up previously to the mayor in an email, our city ordinance requires that people who rent properties pay a deposit to get their water turned on of $50. For the last number of years, who knows how long, the water department has been unilaterally imposing a rule that it's a $200 deposit. I brought this up to the mayor, and he researched it, and at the council meeting I brought it up again, and he agreed that this is not in line with our ordinance. And I have Dwayne was told, and I've verified through other means, that people are starting to get either refunds or credits to their bill because of that advocacy. So
That's great.
We haven't confirmed it, but that's what I've heard through, unless you have.
I did speak to your source, and she informed me that
She
yes,
did,
people
okay.
are getting their refund check.
When I say
refunds.
confirm, I mean, we haven't seen it.
I haven't seen
And
it.
we like to, when we speak, we do like to have, hard facts, paperwork.
Yeah.
So that, what you're talking to is just, anecdotal evidence.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, I will be
we'll look
be
into that.
requesting proof of that.
Right.
So
Right. So again, that's the third issue that we've brought up here: the deposit issue, the flooding issue, and the inaction on what happened with your issue, and the timekeeping issue. And in each of those issues, we've brought up a lot of specifics to back up our claims of what we feel is inadequate, an inadequate administration. Again, I keep using this word. Please recognize there's a theme here. Just poor management. And to make that even worse, when you do bring it to their attention, and by they, I mean specifically the mayor and the city council, of which I'm a member of, there seems to be no interest in making corrections. We've been dealing with this time clock issue now for going on a year. It'll be a year in April, I believe. How difficult is it?
Yeah.
There's so many ways to do that. You can have phone calls from not a city phone. You can use your own personal phone. You can call into certain programs and clock in that way. You can have a physical time clock there. And we keep dragging our feet. I don't understand it.
I found software that can you can have an app on your phone that you can clock in from the field. For example, if the water department has to respond to a water main break, they can clock in from the field.
Yeah, and one of the issues that some of the people on the subcommittee brought up is, well, it's difficult because we have so many different locations, and what if they don't actually report to work or called in to go to a water main break? Figure it out. There's ways to do it. No one's asked me my opinion. I've got a lot of opinions. There are solutions. No one on the subcommittee has come to me or Louie, and Louie's offered solutions. So if you're not gonna, we're bringing up the problem. We have solutions if you want them, but by golly, if you're not gonna come to us, then you need to figure it out. That's why you're on the council.
It shouldn't take a year to figure out.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
exactly.
These issues are important, and
just like that's your issue, April. You still don't know whether you're getting compensated by the risk management company, do you?
And we've had to take matters into our own hands, so to speak, hiring a lawyer and things like that to try and even help us with this situation. And that's not something we'd ever wanted to do.
No,
but
I mean,
at this point, that's something that's had to happen.
But they backed you in a corner. It was either that or you just let it go.
Right.
What a lot of people may not know about you guys, I've known your family for a number of years, and I always tell people, ever since I met your mom and dad, man, the Bowmans are just salt of the earth people. That is what I say. I mean, that has been my phrase for almost 2 decades now. Salt of the earth. They're the nicest,
Very kind of you.
kindest people. True, strong, faith-based family. You and your siblings were all homeschooled, and that's because of your family's strong faith. You have a true love for your fellow man. And I know you wouldn't have married Scott unless he was in line with that, and he seems like a wonderful guy as well.
For sure.
You guys are just really, really kind, and you're not doing this because of any animosity, toward other people. You have no animus toward anyone involved in this situation, and you just want to see the right thing happen, that people be treated fairly and equally.
Yes.
And did I have a political agenda? Yeah, I ran for city council. And I plan to run it again. I did lose. I'm a big loser. I lost by 7 votes to Teresa Green. Congratulations, Teresa. She beat me.
Yeah, that's close.
But I'm really stuck on that 7 votes thing. I was so close.
That was very close.
No, she beat me fair and square. And but I have a political agenda. I want to get on that council. I want to represent the people in our community, and I want to help you guys as well. And you're not in my ward, and I'm not your representative, but I'm stepping into that role to represent you anyway, because I think you deserve the representation.
And that's what I was
we wanted to
say,
really, to say thank you for your guys' help. It's been brought up, other city council members from our own ward didn't really reach out to us, and see what they could do to help. But Dwayne, hearing our story in the city council meeting and
taking action,
and you, Louie, we just really appreciate the help and support and trying to get our story out there and,
of course,
bring attention to the issues in the city, and just help the citizens, and we really appreciate that.
I appreciate you saying that, and unfortunately, we're not in a position to actually to do something like the mayor and the council is as a whole. All we can do is what we're doing here now is bringing attention to it. And I do want to say about you and your family and the other people have gotten up and spoken at the council meetings, but especially you and your mom and father have gotten up and spoken. I just want to talk about how classy and nice that they have been. There's been no disrespectful. Even your mother last month was calling for Mr. Tipser's removal from his position. And she did it in as a respectful and classy and nice way as you could do, as a human being could do. I mean, I'm just in awe of how you guys are handling all this. It's people need to just come to the meetings and see how all this stuff is handled and how our side is dealing with the issue versus their side. Their side is personal attacks and no facts. Our side is, some of us are more of I won't say outraged, but we show emotion a little bit more than others. But you guys have just kept it so in check, kind. And let me say this too, though. The other side, what have they done? They've attacked you. Yeah. Now, we don't know specifically who did this. We won't go through all the issues that you had, but you've had issues happen outside of the meetings that have caused you problems. Jennifer has, Mrs. Rodriguez. They even brought in union attack dogs. If you go back and look at that meeting a few months ago, what month was that? I don't remember the month. 3 months ago?
I don't recall.
August or something.
It was September. We weren't there in August.
And, they brought in, and the guy made some ludicrous accusations. He made some attempted to intimidate you. It was just crazy the way that they handled that. And just recently, last month, I was asked to participate in a closed meeting with those union officials and Mr. Tipsard, and I refused to do that. I told the mayor to find somebody else. If he wants to have an open meeting, I'll do it. It's not that I'm afraid of the meeting, but why does it need to be closed? And some of the issues they're going to talk about in that meeting, in my opinion, violate the closed meeting act in regards to what you can discuss for contract negotiations. So some of the issues they had on the agenda, which the agenda was very vague, not specific at all, they didn't have anything to do with negotiating a contract. So that's the other side. Come see how our side operates. And I do want to make clear to this point as well. We're not saying that every sewer backup in someone's home is the city's fault.
No.
I have a basement. I've had my basement flood with sewer water, and it was not the city's fault. I've never brought this up before because it really didn't matter. I just want to make the point. I had a collapsed line between my home and the sewer main. It was my fault.
Yep.
That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about issues that we feel we can make a justifiable case, a reasonable case, that it was the city's fault.
Well, I want to add also, when you said that their family addressed everything so classy and everything, I agree with that. And if you recall, after the last meeting, forgive me, Hannah, but I told Dwayne, I was like, man, I really wish Hannah would have just spoke with more teeth. Would have been a little bit more with her response.
But that's not her.
Was too nice to
that's
them.
Fine. Yeah.
But
her mother did.
That doesn't go with. That would have been uncharacteristic for you to be anything but nice.
Right.
So.
Well, this is all a learning experience for me too. I'm just trying to learn how to deal with these types of situations.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I'm doing it right. But.
Oh no, you're doing
you're
fine.
handling just fine. So I just ask everyone, we can wrap this up whenever you guys are ready. Just put the personalities aside. If you don't like me, you don't like Louie, that's fine. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Look at the issues. Look at the people that are affected. Take my name out of it, and support them in whatever way you can. And as a community member, the way that you can do that right now is show up to city council meetings.
Show up.
And hold your elected officials accountable.
Yep.
They are not your bosses. We are one of you, and we're there to help the city and help people, not to run roughshod over them.
A couple things I want to add. One, you mentioned the attack dog coming in there to try to intimidate me. I don't intimidate easily. It was highly entertaining.
Yeah.
I was entertained.
I was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was a little too much hype for me.
There are a lot of people in the community. I think the numbers are for us as opposed to against us. But there are a number of people who very vocal in opposing what I'm doing, what you're doing.
None have facts, and none
and if they
address
do
their comments to the issues. It's personal.
Well, and so what I've seen, it appears to be personal. But if anyone wants to come on and have a a cordial conversation, debate. That includes the union attack dog. That includes the mayor. Mr. Tipsword, you want to come on and talk and share your side of things, you're welcome to do it. Just be cordial. We'll be cordial with you. We won't agree with everything. We'll maybe
be prepared for pushback from us.
We'll push back, but you're welcome to come on and push back as well. We are not afraid to have a conversation or even a debate with anyone that wants to come on and share that side of the story.
Right.
As a matter of fact, if you recall, Mr. Tipsard, when I was questioning him at the last meeting as to a timeline of when he's asked for help, and he danced around the issue, what I took away from the conversation and what you have subsequently discovered through FOIA requests, he hasn't asked for help until August of 2025. But he made a comment there at one point that if I wanted to have this discussion any further with him, it needed to be, if I want to talk to him, it needed to be an executive session, which is a closed meeting.
Yeah.
Why? First of all, he doesn't get to call that.
Right.
Well, I think,
But apparently he thinks he's got the authority or the backup from the mayor and the rest of the council to have something like that called.
let me share my opinion. I think the reason he wanted to do that is because anything discussed in that meeting, you are legally barred from discussing publicly.
That's another thing. That's another reason, yes.
And you can actually be charged with a misdemeanor crime for discussing things that happen in that meeting. And we do, and I do uncover a lot of things through my FOIA requests. So perhaps the hope, and maybe I'm wrong, but perhaps the hope is that I will discuss something that I've uncovered through my Freedom of Information Act request that you discussed in that meeting, and then they can try to wrap it around to say, well, Dwayne told him, and then have Dwayne.
It'd be a gotcha moment. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
another reason why. What are we doing that, in everything we've discussed, what are we doing here that requires, being addressed in a closed meeting? Nothing.
Or
Sunshine.
Other than if there's a
Yeah.
discharge of Mr. Tipsard, that specific issue, I would agree, maybe it needs to be handled in an executive session.
disciplinary,
But everything else, open meeting. What were you going to say?
I was just gonna say, why are we looking for gotcha moments?
Exactly.
That's not
Because they have no
necessary.
defense. That's why.
Right. We just need to look. People need to look at facts, look at reports, physical information that's out there that is true.
100%.
And base their opinions and decisions on that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I agree.
Wow, what a great conversation.
Yeah. Thank
Do
you.
you guys have
for
anything to add?
having us on?
I don't think so.
April, the issue happened. Over 100 days before someone talked to you. Actually, it was in August, you said.
So it was over
and that was-
120 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You filed a claim with the city. It's now January of 2026, and you still don't know the status of your claim.
That's right.
Yeah, and you two and our neighbor, have been the only ones to reach out and try and help us,
Very
and
supportive.
try and guide us and give us information and support us. As we said before, we had some other things happen in our lives that were totally overwhelming, and it was hard to focus on this issue,
Sure.
our
Yes.
flooding issue, and so
Of course.
we appreciate the help.
Well, I have a question for you guys. Do you subscribe to our podcast? Why not?
Subscribe to your YouTube channel. Does that count?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
Yeah,
So
follow you on Facebook and
awesome.
Yeah, Facebook, YouTube. We put out a lot of great information. We appreciate all the.
Yeah.
I
work
appreciate
put
you
into
guys,
that.
really I do. So everybody out there, make sure you subscribe to the local lens, Lawrenceville Unfiltered. Hit the notification bell so you see notifications of future episodes. I'll try to be recording the next city council meeting, which happens on January the 8th at 7 p.m. at City Hall. Please be there. Don't just count on my recording to see what happens. Be there because your butt in a seat is the most powerful thing you have to get that council to vote your way. But with that, anything to add or?
Feel free to contact Louie or I if you have any issues that you feel like you're not getting addressed within the community. We'll do our best. We've done things like simple things like getting a water meter cover replaced that was broken in half, that was dangerous to kids and animals and adults. We got a utility pole switched out, which the mayor told the person who initially reported it to him that he didn't know how to do that. Didn't know what to do to get it taken care of.
Couldn't get a hold of the property owner.
Yeah,
It wasn't
it
the
got
property owner's
addressed.
responsibility. It was a utility company.
Got addressed because of us.
Yeah.
You reported a leaky fire hydrant. There are several things. And don't lose sight of the fact that we have citywide cleanup and golf carts in this town because of our involvement and people who have supported us. And I do want to say that I didn't bring those issues up initially. Some people brought them to me, and I went to Louie, and we gathered a group, a support group, to get these things pushed through. So it's not just me and Louie.
The former mayoral candidate, Ryan Curtis, advocated for a lot of these things when he ran for mayor.
Yep.
I agreed with the things, so I advocated for him when I ran for city council, and I continued my advocacy after losing that election. And that's entirely because, like I said before in a previous episode, I made a promise to the voters that I was going to represent them, and my promise doesn't expire at the ballot box.
And those two things specifically, citywide cleanup, golf carts, would not have happened without community pressure.
Correct.
So don't think that nothing can ever be done. If you have an issue, get hold of one of us, and we'll either tell you why we don't think your issue is possibly, maybe it's not a legitimate issue, but if it is, we'll look into it, see what we can do.
Absolutely. So
that's all I want to add.
Well, again, subscribe, notification bell, like the video, share it on all your social media, because we need to get our subscribers up. Let's get to 1 million so we can be like Joe Rogan. Jamie, can you do that for me? Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. Peace out. All right.